This is the modern YouTube Studio dashboard. For content strategists, it is the primary diagnostic tool used to measure exactly how an audience interacts with a video. The 2026 YouTube algorithm operates exclusively as a satisfaction prediction engine. It is indifferent to production effort or budget. It measures only whether the final video satisfies the people who click on it. The primary numerical signal for that satisfaction is average percentage viewed, or APV. This metric calculates the exact proportion of your total video length that the average viewer watched. This 3D graph plots retention geometry. The thick gray band represents the platform average. The blue line represents a high APV outlier. High APV outliers break the standard geometry. They hold attention so effectively that the data physically separates from the baseline. Every fluctuation on that line maps directly to human behavioral psychology. A steep drop means boredom. A flat sequence shows unbroken attention. A sharp spike means they rewound. Distribution is not driven by subjective aesthetic beauty. A polished cinematic sequence that loses 50% of its audience will be throttled. A rough, smartphone-shot video that holds 80% of its audience will be scaled. Scaling a channel requires auditing this retention line to isolate the exact seconds where a video fails to hold its audience. By identifying the precise moment a viewer decides to click away, creators can deduce the structural error in the edit and prevent that specific drop-off in the next upload. While topic and packaging initiate the click, mastering the geometry of the retention graph provides the structural evidence the algorithm needs to continue promoting a video, making it a primary lever for sustaining distribution at scale. To diagnose failure points, we apply this logic to the timeline of a single video. The most critical failure point is the early cliff. Across the platform, 55% of viewers abandon a video within the first 60 seconds. This diagram shows what happens when we split the data between people who already know the creator and people who do not. The green line tracking returning viewers stays flat. The red line tracking new viewers plummets 15 seconds in. This divergence isolates the problem. The intro relies on parasocial trust. Returning viewers tolerate a slow opening because they already like the creator. Cold audiences require immediate value, and they leave when they don't get it. For short-form content, cold audience capture is measured by the viewed versus swiped away ratio, or VVSA. This compares the number of people who stayed to watch against the number who immediately scrolled past. Top-performing shorts consistently maintain a VVSA ratio between 70 and 90% just to survive the initial test phase. Falling below these benchmarks indicates a mismatch between the hook and the audience, causing the recommendation engine to prioritize other content with higher satisfaction signals. The first 60 seconds dictate the entire trajectory of the video. This window is a survival zone for faceless channels. Without a recognizable host on screen, there is no human-to-human recognition to stop a scroll. The content itself must do all the heavy lifting. This chart plots the correlation between first-minute survival and total watch time. Maintaining 65% retention at 60 seconds yields a 58% higher total view duration. The earlier you secure the audience, the longer the aggregate watch time scales upward. Standard channel introductions, animated logos, and phrases like "welcome back" create static pauses. They delay the value promise and destroy cold audience retention. Traditional intros must be replaced by the "but so" narrative framework. This tree maps the structure. State a premise, introduce a conflict with "but," resolve it with an action using "so." As it connects, it rapidly opens and closes micro-curiosity loops. The narrative progresses as a continuous chain of cause and effect. This structural momentum forces the viewer to pay attention to the next beat. It bridges the trust gap by delivering immediate narrative tension instead of relying on a charismatic host. For unknown creators, rigid narrative pacing operates as the mechanical substitute for viewer loyalty. Once the video survives the first minute, the analytical focus shifts to the middle third of the timeline. The initial hook adrenaline fades, and pacing naturally lags. This timeline isolates a sudden downward step where 4% of the remaining audience exits at the same time. This is a valley. Dropping a vertical line from the exit point down to the editor's timeline reveals a long, unbroken block of static footage. Mid-video drops are rarely failures of the topic itself. They are acute failures in editorial pacing. Extended explanations without visual changes break the viewer's mental thread. Pattern interrupts serve as the structural intervention for these mid-video valleys. The rule is strict. Inject a visual change every 3 to 5 seconds. The cut forces the brain to continually process new information, preventing passive disengagement. These interrupts do not require high-budget production. Sudden image cropping, slight camera push-ins, or hard typography overlays achieve the exact same neurological reset. Physically flattening the valley on the graph indicates to the recommendation system that the video commands sustained, deep attention. Beyond avoiding drops, creators must engineer the most valuable geometric shape in the analytics dashboard, the upward spike. A spike indicates that an audience is actively rewinding the video to consume a specific segment a second time. The system logs an active rewind as a high signal of viewer satisfaction. It means the content was dense enough or satisfying enough to warrant immediate repetition. Rewinds are reliably triggered by high-density information reveals, seamless visual loops that connect the ending to the beginning, and complex payoffs that hide details the viewer missed on the first pass. These spikes feed directly into YouTube's back-end distribution mechanism, known as the Explore-Exploit engine. This diagram illustrates how the engine tests and rewards content. It serves a video to a small test node. Detecting a spike, the engine multiplies outward into a massive web of viewers. Maintaining this expansion requires feeding the system a constant supply of new data. For short-form content, posting 1 to 3 times daily provides the necessary volume the engine requires to confidently categorize the channel's intent. High volume allows the algorithm to run hundreds of micro-tests simultaneously, rapidly locking onto the demographic that yields the highest retention. A single high-retention video is a statistical fluke. Engineering systematic spikes across a high volume of uploads creates predictable scale. Executing this process transitions a creator from guessing at content to running a data-backed production workflow. The core asset generated by this workflow is the spike library. This requires extracting the exact timestamps of every rewind across a channel's video history. These moments are cataloged by structural type, a specific pacing style, a visual cue, or a contrarian hook. Creators then apply style doubling. They write entirely new scripts using only the proven, cataloged formats stored in their spike library. This illustrates the goal of style doubling. Global averages are irrelevant. The only metric that matters is plotting an optimized blue retention line entirely above your channel's historical baseline. The delta between the old baseline and new curve represents pure algorithmic growth. When a channel consistently elevates its baseline, the algorithm transitions from acting as a gatekeeper testing the content and transitions into a reliable scaling engine. Treating the retention graph as a ruthless editing checklist ensures every second earns its place, providing the mechanical conditions required to reach millions of viewers.